Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name is VinPF, and on today's episode we're doing another Sample Saturday, and we're covering the new core releases from Turntable Whiskies. Now, before we get into that, a little bit of kind of admin for you, but the Sample Saturdays, if you aren't aware, if you've just caught these are not regular videos that I do. They come and go as I get sample sets in, but the whole point of these is to take away the kind of more formal nature of my normal reviews and do just kind of like an as-is video with you guys where you can just chill out, watch, and we go through 2, 3, 4, maybe more whiskies in a session. Very, very little editing, probably warts and all will go in as I decide what I do with the video as and when. But yeah, that's the whole point of these videos. They're a little bit longer weekend videos, so let me know again if you're enjoying this sort of content below. I know a few of you are, but if you want to let me know, please do let me know, because I enjoy doing this sort of thing. Or if you prefer just the normal reviews, let me know as well. You know, any kind of feedback's good for me. Now, Turntable. You might have seen on my channel, I did a live stream with these guys a couple of months ago now, actually, where we covered their first release of their kind of like their, I was going to say single cask then, but this is where I mean warts and all. Don't think single cask, because they had quite a lot of different casks involved, but they were kind of like a more special release. Now, what they've been working on is this core collection. And what they do is they vibe off the kind of the musical nature of certain things. So a lot of the names are based on kind of music, but it's a nice little setup. They've got a nice branding. I've got a leaflet here which I'm going to be referring to heavily for this. In my normal videos, I might well have kind of thrown up a graphic or whatnot, but that's not the point of these Sample Saturday videos. They're just an overview, and that's the other thing as well. These aren't full reviews of these. I don't do full reviews of sample sizes. I just give first impressions or anything else that I'm vibing. I might do a couple of tasting notes on the fly, but it's certainly nothing prepared, that's for sure. So yeah, let's get into them. So if you remember, I also did a blog post as well, which I'll link below to that, and the live stream. Really good live stream. Those guys were really transparent about their business and about what they're trying to do, and obviously the challenges that are involved in being a new independent bottler, which I'm hyper aware of. So yeah, the interesting thing about that last setup is it's similar to this. You know, you've got a kind of a more lighter version, you've got a kind of heavily sherried version, and then you've got a peated version. And I went into that last set sort of pre-thinking that I might enjoy the peated one. That's kind of my natural disposition now these days. I prefer that sort of thing, but it wasn't my favourite of the group. It was the second favourite, but the heavily sherried one was the favourite then. We'll see how we go along with that on this tasting as we go through it. But yeah, the first one then, we have here Paradise Funk. Now these are all, as it says on here, well, this one's unpeated, non-chill filtered, natural colour, 46%. Actually not sure on the price. Probably should have looked that up beforehand, but yeah, the last ones were about sort of 65 quid, so I guess these might be a bit cheaper, because otherwise you'd want to get those ones instead, right? Yeah, silly, didn't check. Maybe it's in the literature. But yeah, so this first one then, this is why I'm going to have to refer to this a lot, because what they do is they have these here, which is really awesome. So this is what it looks like normally. You see the livery is pretty cool, but here is a breakdown of all of the whiskies that are in it. There's no ages. They did talk a little bit about age when they were on my live stream, but they've not put ages on this at all. Don't think that really matters, because you know, if you're into it or you're not, right? So we have Paradise Funk. The next one is going to be a Bittersweet Symphony here, and then finally the peated one is Smokin Riff. Yeah, and this is just a nice little booklet. So let me read out to you what the first one has in it. Quite a lot, actually. It's 13% Knockdo Virgin Oak, 20% Benrinnes, Chinkapin, which again, that was a new word to me on the live stream, so interesting. 18% Invergordon X Cognac, 8%, did I say 8? 18%, I should have said that. I think I said 8. 8% Blair Athol Bourbon, ex-bourbon, 30% unnamed Speyside Virgin Oak, which is weird. You know, they don't often say unnamed, but there you go, it's in there. And then 11% North British Virgin Oak. So yeah, we've got a good, what's that, 29% grain. Sure, I mean, that doesn't bother me at all. I think a lot of these have got a fair amount of grain in them, but the ages in these things in the original release, not the core release, the original release, they had a reasonable age on some of these things, which is why, you know, the expense has come from it. It would have been nice to see it. That's the truth. It would have been nice to see it, but we don't have it. So let's get into it then. You know, this one's the lightest of the three, and we'll see what I get off it briefly. Now this one here, my first reaction is oranges. Oranges mixed with, you know, the standard vanillas and whatnot. Bit of pineapple. It's got a nice tropical nose to it. Let's try on the palate. Yeah, it's lovely. You know, they're all lovely, and this is the key thing about this. It's definitely the most understated of the three, having tried them all three of them before I tried them on this video, but definitely the most understated. There's a little bit of sherryness to it, a little bit of dried fruit. Mostly, it's kind of like a rich ex-bourbon vibe to it. You know, there's obviously some other stuff going on with kind of the cognac casks and whatnot that are very interesting in there, but yeah, considering it must be the cognac that's giving it that vibe then, because it's I'm thinking there's no actual sherry in this really, unless virgin. I don't know what chin capping is. They did tell me and I've already forgotten. There you go, more warts and all. But yeah, a really interesting whiskey. Not my favourite of the bunch again. Actually my least favourite of the bunch again. But that's again just personal opinion. These are all really good. That's the key thing to say. Let's move on then to the next one. Next one we've got Bittersweet Symphony. I'll hold that one up to you again. Ding ding. Again, unpeated, non-chill filtered, natural coloured. This is obviously not what the bottles look like. This is just my sample bottles. You know, obviously thanks to them for sending this over as well. It's pretty awesome. Again, a big long list. All double figures this time. So we've got 22% Craigellachie PX Puncheon, 17% Blair Athol Virgin Oak, 21% Craigellachie again Oloroso Butt. So lots of sherry. 21% Balmenic PX and 19% North British Virgin Oak. So yeah, only 20% of this is grain this time. Quite like North British actually. I should get some North British to cover for the channel. A very high amount of Craigellachie mixed with PX and Oloroso, and then add in the Balmenic PX as well. So yeah, this is obviously going to be a sherried whiskey. Much darker. I'm just trying to decide which one I think is darkest. Actually, let's have a look at that. Oh, there's not much in it, is there? Oh, hang on the camera, this one looks much darker. My eyes aren't showing me what the camera's showing me. I'm looking in the screen right now. Yeah, I don't know. It's close. But this one, the equivalent of this, I shouldn't say this one because they are very different whiskies. The equivalent of this was my favourite of the last one. Now it's quite clearly heavily sherried. It isn't sherry bomb territory, but I don't mind that. I'm not into a sherry bomb. I know some of you are, but I'm not. Bags of cinnamon, which on its own I don't mind when it's mixed with other stuff as well, like clove and whatnot. I wasn't a huge fan of that sort of thing, but this doesn't have that. Let's try on the palate. Now this has got, whoa, it's deep and dark and rich. It's like, it's not even like dried. Sometimes I chuck out the dried fruits, but this is like hardcore raisins. You know, this is like juicy dried raisins. Somehow they're dried and juicy at the same time. It's got a little bit of kind of cinnamony vibes on the back end, which it's not a favourite kind of flavour profile of mine, but I don't mind it here. But if you're a sherry lover, that's definitely going to be a winner for you. Zero sulphur for me now. I talk about this a lot on the channel, but actually it hasn't been for a while, so I'm wondering if I'm pulling out of that a little bit now. But I used to get like a high heap of sulphur on some sherried whiskies, and it really puts me off. I really hate that smell, and I'm not getting that off this at all. Just like the kind of original releases. It's a little bit more understated than the equivalent of that. And again, I'm not trying to compare the two because they are very different whiskies. You have to look at the makeup of them to decide for yourself. But yeah, very different. But yeah, what they're going for with those vibes, it's not quite as nice as that. But then I really, really enjoyed that original whiskey. That's just that thing. But yeah, I mean, obviously I really like that. It's a sherried whiskey that I could get behind. That's for sure. Finally then, we've got Smokin Riff. which again I should show you again. So this one now will say peated, non-chill filtered, natural coloured, 46%, blah blah blah. So obviously we're going to have some peat in here, so we'll get some familiar names, I'm sure. We have, from the top, 21% Nocdu PX. So, you know, straight away, spoiler alert, right? If you watch my channel, you'll know that when peat mixes with PX, I get endorphin releases in the brain. So yeah, 21% Nocdu PX, 18% Kalila ex bourbon barrel, pretty standard. 24% Krugeliki PX, 9% Kalila ex red wine, so not so normal, and 28% North British Virgin Oak. Yeah, let's get into it because I'm dying to. I mean, the nose on this is unreal. It's so good. It's like, if you like peat and sherry, this is just that. It's like, it's all that sweetness, all that, those kind of like dried fruits mixed in with that sea air, but because it's Kalila, it's briny rather than ashen or dirty. It's very clean, kind of smoky, peaty. Peat and clean in the same sentence, but you know what I mean. Let's try on the palate. Yeah, I mean, that's just like I said, that's pure endorphin release for me, that is. Well, literally, as I was talking then, my my salivation just hit, and it was just like, it's, yeah. Whereas, like on the first release, as I said at the beginning of the show, on the first sets of releases, I went in thinking I was going to enjoy the peated one the most, and I did enjoy it. And then I tried the sherried one, and I was just like, oh, what is this dram? It's so good, great. And I think what's happened is I've got this tasting set, and I've gone in thinking, well, they've done something quite similar. You know, they've got, you know, the kind of lighter one, the sherried one, and the peated one. So maybe they've done the same thing again, and my mind's gone in probably thinking that I'm going to enjoy the sherry one the most, and I've ordered them in such, you know, obviously you drink the peated one last, and I've hit the peated one and just been like, oh, that is stunning. Yeah, absolutely stunning. I mean, these guys, you've seen the barrel makeup, you've seen how difficult it is to make these whiskies. This is blended whiskey, as we know. This is what happens on all blended whiskies, you know, right the way down to the kind of like the bog standard supermarket ones. They're all single malts at some point that get blended in different proportions. Now, usually those supermarket ones there's so much in there with so little barrel influence, all refill casks, that it just evens out over time. You know, there's not really much giving out of these. Now, this is properly crafted whiskey to give a sensation to each person. Now, these guys, I mean, obviously they would love it if you bought all three, I'm sure, but I don't think that's what they're trying to vibe with. What they're trying to give is, they're trying to give you all the information. All this information, this isn't special to me. This is all on their website. They're giving you this information to let you know what's in it, so that you can make an informed choice about which one you want to buy. Yeah, again, if you want to buy all three, then fill your boots. But for me, for my taste profile, where I am in my whiskey journey, I actually thought I was coming away from peat, but as winter starts setting in, I've gone right back to it. But that Smokin Riff, genuinely stunning. These two, very good in their own respective fields, stunning. Versus the first release, where the sherry one was stunning, and the other two were both very good in their respective fields. But there you go. That's my quick overview, quick-ish, 14 minutes. But this is a quick overview of my look at Turntable core range. I really enjoy what they're doing. The kind of the branding is cool. The whiskies are good. The price points is reasonable. Probably should have looked that up. In fact, let's have a quick. Yeah, they're the only edit I'm going to do in this video probably then. They're about 50 quid, about 53 quid versus the 70 of the original releases, which I think is fair enough. But a bargain for these if you're into that. Definitely a bargain for that PX. Definitely I think I'm gonna have a little sniff around and see what I can get with that now. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed that. If you're interested in these, as always, there'll be a link in the description below, which will be an affiliate link for me. It's nothing to do with Turntable, but straight to Master of Malt. That obviously gives me a small percentage of the purchase. So yeah, that's always muchly appreciated. And thanks again to everybody for all your support through Patreon and just watching. You know, I just love it that you guys are watching. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think below about anything whiskey related. You know me, I like to respond to most of my comments when I can. And I'll see you again on more whiskey videos in the future. I'm going to hit this Kalila again. Cheers.